Alright, so before we get into a sequel, you always have to establish where you're coming from on the first movie. The first Kick-Ass by Matthew Vaughn is a fun, stylish, little superhero movie. At the time, I didn't know it was based off of a comic, but it was. I saw the movie first, and I read the comic, and I liked the comic. The first movie, they made a lot of changes to it that I'm not a fan of. Well, two in particular. They made changes to the love story and to the Big Daddy character, Nicolas Cage's character in the first one. But I mean, generally, I still liked the first one a lot. They were very Hollywood type changes, pick and choose here and there. Considering the overall product, I was okay with what I got. The first Kick-Ass is a lot of fun, and it was done by Matthew Vaughn, also known as the guy that saved the X-Men series. So you're going to do a Kick-Ass 2. Okay, who do we get? Well, we can't get Matthew Vaughn. Okay, so let's go get the guy that did Never Back Down and Cry Wolf. You know, the horror movie that you pass on, or used to pass in video stores when video stores still existed. If you can't tell where I'm going with this, Kick-Ass 2 sucks. Like, where do I fucking start? Kick-Ass 2 is to superhero movies what Scream is to horror movies now. You've got characters that have lines like, "You can't die or there won't be a sequel," and shit like that. Like, the first one was subtle about it. Little jabs here and there, but it wasn't aware that it was a fucking movie. All of a sudden now, it's so over the top. That kind of describes the movie in a nutshell right there. It's over the top. Like, they just cranked... I guess maybe he just figured the violence was what people liked from the first one? No. Because they cranked that shit up to 11. But again, it's the guy that did Never Back Down. And I never thought I'd be saying this as a compliment, but Never Back Down looks good by comparison. Like, at least I can tell in the fight scenes what's happening in Never Back Down. In this, they do this shit the entire time. No, it's more like, I can't emphasize it, but they can't keep the fucking camera still. Oh, now I fucked up my own camera now. They can't keep the camera still to tell what the hell is going on. So I'm sure there's great choreography. I'm sure, once again, Chloe Grace Moretz blows it out of the water and, lives up to the choreography. I have to just take it on faith, though, because I couldn't tell what was going on. And when there is action going on, it's just CG blood all over the place. Like almost like unfinished CG blood. It's not even like a Kick-Ass movie. Like, it's all over the place. Every characters are all over the place, and tone is all over the place. Tone-wise, it's a roller coaster. It goes up and down all over the place, and when it does go in a direction, it leans hard. I don't mean that in a good way. I mean like in a forced, like on the nose. It's about as subtle as blunt force trauma. You've got characters walking away, and you've got sad walking away piano music playing in the most like typical, like the same like chords that we hear a million times when people are sad and walking away. You got violin, this typical. You actually have people playing a violin when people are crying. Like, fucking, I thought of SpongeBob. You've got characters that, instead of Nicolas Cage, now we've got Jim Carrey. And I'm not saying it as a bad thing. I'm just saying that those are the best parts of the movie. Nicolas Cage is, first of all, you're making a sequel to a movie without bringing Nicolas Cage along. Like, you killed him off. I realize that you had to, but you're dooming yourself because it's without Nicolas Cage. Come on. But the best part of the movie is Jim Carrey, by far, and it's a shame. It's real professional, right? Keep your phone on during a review. Anyway, Jim Carrey is best thing about this, and it's a bummer that he's distanced himself so much from the movie. I mean, I wish that he was distancing himself from it because it sucked. I wish that was the reason. But he's distanced from it because the violence in it is so over the top, and it really is. It doesn't offend me personally, but it makes the movie dumber. Like it's like that's all it's obsessed with is just violence and puke and poop jokes all over the place. Not well, there's not that much poop, but there's poop. I never thought I'd be seeing that in a Kick-Ass movie. But again, it's not even Kick-Ass's movie really. I mean, he plays such a little role in it all. I didn't understand. I couldn't follow like why certain people were doing what things, like, uh, like why John Leguizamo's character, who's also wasted in this, not like literally, but I mean like his talent is wasted. I wish he could be doing better things. Why is John Leguizamo going along with Red? I'm just gonna call him Red Mist because I don't like calling him the McLovin guy character. Why is he going along with everything McLovin says? There's another right there. You went from Nicolas Cage to Jim Carrey. Okay, that's fine because that's still quality. But you went from Mark Strong to McLovin for your villain. So it was essentially just a dick with a gun. There is he's the most unlikable villain, and not in like a oh I want to see him get his just desserts. It's like in a seriously this is gonna be our imposing threat for the movie. Like he's so fucking like delusional and pathetic that it comes across as just like unintentionally funny yet irritating at the same time. You've got him talking to other people who are more convincing in their demeanor as a villain. I mean, the McLovin guy, Christopher whatever, is the main villain, yet he talks to other characters, and when he talks to them, they're only in like one scene. They'll be there for about 2 minutes, and yet in those 2 minutes, they are a better villain than he is. It's a petty, like, personal revenge thing. And I get the revenge. Yeah, I get that that's his motivation. But it's so one note, it gets old really fast. He's just so pathetic. And it's not played for laughs. It's played serious. That's the big problem right there with him. Is that it's played serious. It's not meant to be funny. There's no like moment because he pays off everybody to just do what he wants. There's no moment where his money's no good anymore. There's no like he doesn't ever run out of money. There's no one with like more money to spend than him. It never it's so on the nose about everything that it's just it leaves you numb. Sure, there were a couple of moments that had me that got a laugh out of me here and there, but seriously, for every one moment that made me laugh, I had about 10 where I was just rolling my eyes. It's the most like it's disappointing. It's not the word. It's not horrible. It just sucks. It's seriously disappointing. I didn't expect it to be better than the first one, really. I just expected it to be competent, and yet it does not. I feel like they didn't even give a shit about following up the first movie. Like they didn't even care. Like it was just a cash grab. Like, oh, they made a second comic book. Well, it's an excuse to do a second movie then. No one was asking for it. And I love Chloe Grace Moretz. She actually does well with what she's given, but the fun part of seeing her swearing and shit in the first movie is because she was like 9. Now that she's growing up, and it's not her fault, it's just a natural part of life. She's growing up, and it's not as big a deal when she swears and shit. Because, I mean, women are allowed to swear. Believe it or not. I'm just kidding. I'm saying to the filmmakers, believe it or not, women are allowed to curse, so it's not a big deal to have hit girls swearing like she is. I don't know what else I could fucking say about this. Again, you've dropped Nicolas Cage from the movie, it's immediately downgraded, but it's just kind of amazing how how many things fall apart and to the degree that they fall apart. It's kind of just a waste of time. Any kind of memorable moments just feel like, oh shit, really? Like that's where we're going with this? Like more like ironic entertainment more so than like any genuine, which is what the first one was genuinely entertaining. Sure, it suspended disbelief in a lot of parts, but it was also subversive enough that you didn't know where it was going. Like you kind of got a general idea of where things were headed, but you weren't sure where the characters precisely were going to end up and how they were going to get there. This is cookie cutter 101, you can call it, from like the first 40 some minutes. Once they've got things set up, you're like, well, I know where this is going now. I think there's only one thing regarding Kick-Ass, like the actual character Kick-Ass, that you might not be able to guess, but it doesn't really seem to affect the characters in any way, shape, or form. It makes Kick-Ass want to not be Kick-Ass anymore, and then literally the next scene, like, they suit up and they go fight Red Mist character, so... I'm tired. I'm so worn out by this. It was just a miserable experience all the way through. If you're gonna see it, use like a coupon or a free ticket if you have one. Don't pay to see this. I implore you to not pay to see Kick-Ass 2. There's other things. You know what you should see? Go see Elysium. Elysium's not perfect. It does the shaky cam shit too, and it does ask you to suspend your disbelief a little bit, and there's moments where it is very on the nose and not very subtle. But you know what? And it is a little predictable, sure, but you know what? It's got good performances. It builds an effective world. It looks fantastic. Sharklow Copley, I think is his name, the guy from District 9, is he's unbelievable. You would never guess that was the same guy from District 9. You've got it's a rich movie with everywhere you look, it's got little hints at things that you could build a whole other like 20 minutes out of, and it's only in there for 2 minutes. So everywhere you look, there's something interesting going on. Go see Elysium. Fuck Kick-Ass 2. It's a waste of time. If you want to wait to rent it, sure. Be my guest, because that's probably perfect. It's a Saturday, Sunday, it's a weekend rental at best. Elysium would be a good weekend rental too. It's not going to change your life, but everything that Kick-Ass 2 tries to do, Elysium does so much better. Again, it's not cool. Fuck it. I'm done. I'm done with Kick-Ass. I'm done with Kick-Ass 2. Just don't. I implore you to just don't even bother. If this is how we're ending the summer movie season, then honestly, that's kind of fitting, because this summer has kind of sucked. Fuck Kick-Ass 2.